We go now to Congressman Michael McCaul. He is the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Good morning to you.
Morning, Margaret. Thanks for having me.
I want to start on this unusual activity, 3 takedowns in 8 days. In the case of the spy balloon, this was Chinese surveillance, according to the administration. On Friday, they put restrictions on 6 Chinese companies that allegedly helped China's military build that balloon. Is this the right move to just try to make it harder for them to get U.S. technology, or does Congress need to do something that's more broad?
Well, it's certainly the right move. It will be one of my #1 priorities as the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee in this Congress to stop the export of technology to China that then goes into their most advanced weapon systems. In this case, a sophisticated spy balloon that went across 3 nuclear sites. I think it's important to say, in plain view of the American people. You know, in Montana, the Triad site, air, land, and sea nuclear weapons. In Omaha, this spy balloon went over our Strategic Command, which is our most sensitive nuclear site. It was so sensitive that President Bush was taken there after 9/11. And then finally, Missouri, the B-2 bomber, that's where they are placed. It did a lot of damage.
Is that what U.S. intelligence told you? They've been saying they mitigated the impact.
They say they mitigated it, but my assessment, and I can't get into the detail of the intelligence document, is that if it's still transmitting, going over these 3 very sensitive nuclear sites, I think if you look at the flight pattern of the balloon, it tells the story as to what the Chinese were up to as they controlled this aircraft throughout the United States. Going over those sites, in my judgment, would cause great damage. Remember, a balloon can see a lot more on the ground than a satellite.
So you said you want to try to stop the export of technology that can be used by China's military. As a conservative, though, how much this has to make you a little uncomfortable to have government try to control private business investment. How do you do that?
Well, we have what's called an entities list. The Department of Commerce, I have jurisdiction over the office within there. The Department of Defense has one. We need to harmonize those, make it more security focused. You know, capital flows is one issue, but technology exports into China that they use to turn, that may eventually turn against us, we have to stop doing that. And I think we can do it by sectors. They do it by companies now. Obviously, they identified the 6. I think shockingly, when the balloon was recovered, it had American-made component parts in there with English on that. It was made, you know, parts made in America that were put on a spy balloon from China. I don't think the American people accept that.
Do you believe that this was a strategic choice by Xi Jinping's government in Beijing, or do you believe that it was just the left and right hand not knowing what was going on?
When I saw the sites that it was flying over, it was very clear to me this was an intentional act. It was done with provocation to gather intelligence data and collect intelligence on our 3 major nuclear sites in this country. Why? Because they're looking at what is our capability in the event of a possible future conflict in Taiwan. They're really assessing what we have in this country. I find it extraordinary, the timing of this flight as well, you know, right before the State of the Union speech, and also, you know, right before Secretary Blinken was scheduled to meet with Chairman Xi. I think it was very much an act of belligerence on their part, and perhaps they don't care what the American people think about that.